So part of my writing process growing up was always, oh god, I tried doing it by like in a uniform and textbook kind of way of like here's this book formula of like how to create a story. I listened to so many different like videos. I would read blogs. I would like see other authors and like any author notes that they would have or like any interviews that they had done, and I would look at like all this advice that they would have, and I would like compile all this information into this great big like memoir of, not even a memoir, it was an academic book as from like step 1 to step 2 as to how to write your story. And the thing about creativity is that it does not work that way at all. um I always thought that when it came to realizing a character and the vision that I had for them, creating their story, I kept I started off by trying to build them visually. So, like, their appearance, and then a bit about, like, the key personality traits. And that is honestly, by defining your character, okay, in my experience, sometimes this works for other people, but I have learned that me doing this has only harmed my writing. Um, but by giving my characters set traits that like are consistent with them, so like, oh, they're witty or they're sarcastic or they're highly intelligent or they're a fucking dumbass, or like personality traits, they're mean, they're happy, they're sad a lot of the time, right? It's like all these, by trying to put these characters that I'm trying to create into a box, I am thus not creating someone that readers can relate to, because no one fits in a box. No one in this fucking world can put themselves in a box that has all their personality traits. Because I can consider myself witty at times. I can consider myself like a fucking piece of shit at times. I can consider myself like, I don't fucking like whims happy, like overjoyed or really excitable at times. Myself, just like everyone else in this world, just like the characters that I hope to write, are not always this box of traits. We are always pulling from the different influences around us. We are always pulling from our environments and the stimuli around us. We are always pulling on whatever our past experiences are and what they have been. I am not always excitable. My roommate could tell this to you. I am, more often than not, it would be more fitting to describe my personality as like mellow, fatigued even, because there's like that bone deep exhaustion that I convey most days, right? But I have my excitable moments. I have my moments where I am sitting here staring at the white wall across from me and yapping about my writing techniques. This, like, I do not fit into a box. No one fucking does. And so I noticed that my writing and my characterization with my writing greatly suffered, because every time I was worried about like, oh, how would this character react in this situation, I kept going to the box like, oh, they're sarcastic. They would be sarcastic in this situation. And it's like, no the fuck they would not. Because no one would be in that kind of situation, right? Unless it like made sense for like the build up, who that person is fundamentally, their experiences and things like that, the stimuli around them. Those are what makes someone's reactions to something. Not this random personality trait that they just happen to exude every once in a while. Just because I'm sarcastic at times doesn't mean I am going to be sarcastic in the face of like life-ending peril. Right? And this is obvious. This makes sense. Now. But when I was younger, like when I was 13, 14 and trying to figure out like how writing should work, I kept thinking that when it came to characterization, I needed to make this box. I needed to give them this list of traits, their appearance traits, their personality traits. I need to figure out their background, and I would like come up, so their backstory, the tragic backstory drop. And I kept thinking that the tragic backstory is what made the character. But characters, like humans, are not defined by their past experiences. They are defined by what they do with what has happened to them. You can endure some fucked up shit, and if you become a piece of shit after that, you could blame the fucked up shit that happened to you. But at the end of the day, it is the experiences that happen after that and what you do with those experiences beyond that. A lot of it is willpower. um and so like prime think of like any fucking fictional character you have. I who Isaiah Orihara from Durarara. I don't know why the fuck he came to mind. Thinking of him, his story, oh god, it's been years. His parents were never home, and so they were like always on business trips or something. So he effectively had to raise his younger siblings. And whether it was because of his parents never being home, what did that do to him? Did that determine that what the thing is? Okay, as an adult, you do not know those things about him. They do not like define him. He isn't like going from building to building saying, "Oh, my parents were never home," or "I had to raise my younger siblings." You don't learn that from him fucking telling you. You learn that from like how he acts around his siblings and just from what you learn from his siblings about his relationship with his parents, right? Oh god, humans are such complex creatures. Writing them, I don't know how the fuck people do it sometimes. I don't know how I do it sometimes. How I write people that feel like people. Weird as fuck. So yay. It's not his backstory that makes him who he is. What makes Isaiah who he is the fact that he is a conniving piece of shit. He is manipulative as all hell. He will convince you to jump off a fucking building if it means that he gets some nice information out of it. Like, his past does not define him. Nor does the box of personality traits define him. Because I described all that shit about him, but that is just who he is on the broader spectrum. That is not who he always is. Because at the end of the day, you can like dig into the roots of who he is, and if you combine that box of personalities, if you fucking open that box first off, because no one fits in one of those, and you take this fucked up backstory that he has, that's where you get the rye and the bitterness of who he is, like, fundamentally, right? And the resentment that he has for Shizuo, right? When you combine these things, all these different aspects of what makes someone, that's where you can finally get to the root of who he is as a character within a story and what his motives are and what his purpose is in the story, right? Writing is a complicated art, and I love it, and it's great, and I hate it. I don't know how people do it sometimes. I don't know how I do it sometimes. Oh my god, I'm so frustrated with myself. But at the same time, I can't be frustrated because I was young and I was learning. And it is thanks to all the stupid decisions I made when I was younger that I can make the slightly less stupid decisions I can do now. And I will continue to learn from this point on. I could be having this conversation with myself right now and look at, the open box, the backstory, and all these things that build up a human, whatever. And I don't feel like I'm using the right language for it. But I feel in my heart of hearts that I understand the idea that I'm trying to convey. My bigger concern is my delivery of it and whether I can actually deliver a character that feels realistic, that feels good, that feels relatable. I thought that you needed to define all these things about a character. I thought you needed to know how the fuck, every fucking detail of how your world worked and why things occurred the way they did and what the origin of fucking every flower in that world was. I was so worried about these semantic details that at the end of the day, as much as people are going to care about the world, people are not going to care about the wild lettuce in a field that the characters don't even, like, pay attention in. Right? Like, even, what's a popular, like, was it called, I haven't read the series, like, Middle Earth, I think it is, that's what's, like, the Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien's whole fucking everything. People, as much as there are going to be people who are really into that niche subject of, like, the specific flora of a land, the greater interest for the world of his stories are always the greater landscapes, the history of conflict, and, I say landscapes, but I mean, like, the actual, like, geography of the land. Like, the shape of the terrain, it's gonna be, locations, it's gonna be paths, it's gonna be fucking water lines, all that shit, lakes, rivers, and then prior conflicts, and then followed by the present conflicts, so what our characters are currently going through, anything beyond that, and I think it's just a J.R.R. Tolkien kind of trended with that kind of shit, with the high fantasy, like creatures in the world, right? Like, do we have Cyclops in here? Do we even have horses anymore? Like, what kind of world are we living in? Things like that. Like, it's those greater strokes that I feel like you can't even call them a necessity, because at the end of the day, One Piece, we don't even have an official map, I don't think. I don't think we have an official map for One Piece, and you know how big that series is? Holy shit. But you have the greater strokes. You have all of this, the individual places that we go to in a series like One Piece. We learn so much about those locations specifically, and we only learn about the flora that impacts our characters. We only learn about the wildlife that impacts our characters. We learn about as much geography as we need for the characters to get from point A to point B and fuck up someone's day, right? We learn what is necessary to the characters because we are going to learn what the characters learn. We are not going to, like, okay, oh my god, holy shit. The author should not shove this information down the reader's throat in this epic, like, monologue information kind of spiel. Like, we do not want to give the reader a fucking play-by-play about how this wild lettuce strain was discovered all these years ago, unless it is relevant to what the characters are dealing with. Unless they are about to eat this lettuce and it may, like, change their lives, kind of thing. Then we should like care about it to whatever degree. And then it's important as well, if you're going to teach the readers this much information about it, you have to make sure that information like continues to be relevant. You can't just, oh, you're going to eat this lettuce leaf. Here's the greater history about how we discovered this lettuce leaf. Go have fun with it. And that's all. That's the only. You need to make sure that the information that you give the readers will actually be relevant. And don't just give them, oh, here's how this plant, here's the information about how the guy that discovered this plant, and then like that's all the information you get about it. Give them the information about like, oh, here's about the guy who discovered this plant. Also, he's the reason we have all these greater issues in the world right now. He's dead now. We can't do anything about it. But if you want a finger to point at, you can point it at him. I feel like, as vague as of an idea, a concept as that is, I feel like that is a better way to utilize the information that you are giving the reader. That is the information that like could be necessary. I feel like, oh god, because it's always, it's so frustrating. Writers, artists will put so much work into creating this super in-depth world. Bitch, I could tell you how this lake was formed, and that is on the other side of the fucking planet, kind of thing. We will go into that much detail. And it feels like a loss. Because why would I put in this much detail if there is going to be no purpose in it? Besides which, I feel like there is the immediate follow-up, oh, because it's fun. And that is the greater picture here. But when it comes to like making a production of something, you have like personal projects where you have no monetary gain involved, there's no like deadline, it is just for the fuck of it, then fuck yeah. Just write down how that entire lake was formed over the span of like 1,300 years or something. Like, I don't fucking do whatever. Who the hell cares? You're having fun. But you have like for profit projects, it is kind of hard because creatives are always ambitious. And it is kind of hard to rein yourself in sometimes. Because you need to focus on the world that will actually affect the characters and affect the readers and their experience with the story. But that lake on the other side of the world looks really tempting right now. And it's like, God, I would love to develop that. Because what if I develop it and it's really interesting and it could actually be somewhere that the characters go, right? But when writers describe the story getting away, not the story, but the characters getting away from them sometimes, and in a positive light, in the sense of, like, yeah, I kind of had an idea as to where the story was going, but then the characters started running off in their own direction. So I just kind of followed them. I love hearing that first off, because it's happened, dude. It's so fun, in a way, when that happens. As frustrating as it is, because it's like, you're writing a D&D campaign, and then your players do fuck all, and you're like, oh shit, how is this gonna work now? Like, you dig yourself into a hole sometimes, and it's really easy to do that. And so it can be really hard to get yourself out of it, because you have to have a bit of preemptive, like, a bit of planning ahead, but it doesn't always work out. So, but it is so, it makes me so happy to hear when their characters like get away from them, and the story just genuinely seems better for it. Like, oh god, how do I describe this? Because you create a story outline and you're like, yes, then he'll react this way, and then this will happen as a result, like this conflict will happen, this, and then we'll have a big high tension scene here, and then we'll have a baby resolution, and then the big explosion, and then the greater resolution. Or like you kind of place out your story beats. But then when your characters finally, when you start writing and your characters reach the conflict point, and suddenly your character that you have is reacting, like as you're writing, you're in the moment, and your character is reacting so much greater than you had anticipated. Then like your original planning was like, oh yeah, they're not gonna like they're gonna have a bit of a reaction to it, but nothing crazy. But then as you're writing it, the character it doesn't make sense for them to have such a little reaction to all this shit. They should be fucking blowing up right now. And then you write that your character's losing their fucking head, and all this crazy shit is happening, and it's hard to keep track of everything. And it's shit like that. That's when it feels like the characters run off. It's that kind of feeling. That's the start of it. That's just the fucking tipping point of your character running off. Like, that is, the character is, like, feeling an emotion, you are riding that fucking wave with them, and you're going up this fucking crescendo of a hill, and then if you can stick with that wave long enough, if you can continue to let your character lead, and I mean, reread your shit when you come back to it later, reread it, and follow that flow again, and then figure out how you can bring it back down. Don't try to bring it back to your event timeline. Right? You have your whole timeline. It was meant, like, your character was meant to come up to the timeline with the emotion that they have, and then it's supposed to come back down with the timeline, this whole thing. But your character just fucking blew up, right? Instead of trying to bring them back down to the timeline to, like, make shit line up, you gotta fucking dude, please, try it. Just try it and see what happens. Let your character continue to ride that wave. Whether they come back down, awesome, but don't try to force them back down to the timeline. Let them do their own shit and try to bring the timeline up. Try to meet your character where they're at. Try to make their events make sense in the world that you have set up. Let your characters lead. If that is a story you are trying to write, where your characters are the primary focus, where your characters are what fucking matters, their decisions, the bullshit they get up to, and the emotions that they feel, if that is what matters, your job then is to make the world meet that. Make your timeline match that, so then it'll flow with them. Don't bring them back down to your world. Don't bring them back into your timeline of events, of like what you envisioned and shit like that. I feel, oh my god, I'm tripping balls, dude. I'm incorrect. Please tell me I'm wrong. Letting the characters lead is so much more satisfying than trying to grind them, grab them by their fucking reins, and drag them back down to your timeline. Tell me I am tripping balls. I feel like I'm right, but I feel like I'm wrong, or I feel like I'm not conveying this correctly. I'm not using the correct language for it. I feel like I'm right, but I also am learning. I said that at the very beginning of this. I'm always learning something. God, it's so fascinating. Back to my original point that I made at the beginning with my learning of how to write and how it works. Writing is hard, and trying to follow a textbook is, in my experience, not the way to go about it. For some people, it can work. And for me, when I was younger, it did work. It worked like a fucking charm. And I can only say that in the sense of it worked because I was writing. And that was all that I had, like, cared about at that time. I wasn't writing stories that felt groundbreaking. I wasn't making anything grandiose. But I was writing shorter stories that were contained to a degree, and it was amateurish because I was an amateur, you wouldn't believe it. But I was writing. I was doing the act of sitting at my fucking, like, my school-issued Chromebook on Google Docs, writing, like, 36 pages. And I mean, like, Arial, single space, size 11, 36 pages, print setup, print layout. Like, that is how I write. Like, that was, oh god, dude. It got me writing, and I can never, like, be upset about that. Because I learned something then. I don't, fuck if I know what I learned then, but I know I was learning then because I was writing, and I think of what I learned was about characterization and about world building and trying to differentiate, trying to learn then where I was going to put my value in my writing and what I was going to put my stocks in. Like, where was I going to invest most of my skill into? Was I going to put all this effort into world building and thorough world building? Or was I going to put a lot more attention to character and their emotions and their stories? And I have since learned that as much as I want to do one or the other, if I want to make a cohesive story, I cannot value one over the other. I need to find a balance. I need to make both ends meet. I can't just have all this high intensity character bullshit and have this really flat world. I can't have this crazy fucking world that's super fantastical, awesome, really in depth, and have the flattest characters that we are following through it. You need to make the ends meet. You can't just burn one wick. You gotta light them both. You gotta light them both if you want the candle to go down even. You have to light them both. I hope that makes any amount of sense. And again, I may be wrong about this. Maybe I'm thinking about it all wrong. Maybe I need more writing experience. But it's important. And I need to think about it more. I spent so many years trying to get over, like, hating writing. Not that I hated the act of writing, I loved it more than anything, but sitting there and writing and thinking. Thinking was my truest curse. That ruined every prospect of writing for years. I just could not write anything. And what I had learned from that, after meditating on it for a week and then journaling about it for a week, I have concluded because of that I forgot how to have fun with writing. I forgot how to let the characters take the reins, and I forgot how to let the story do its own thing, and I forgot how to not care about semantics. I was so worried about a historical story I was writing and making sure I bought like 4 fucking books to make sure that I was being as historically accurate as possible, when that wasn't even the focus. No part of the story is the historical accuracy valued at all, because that's not at all what the story was about. It was about cannibalism and abduction and a kid trying to get out of a fucked up situation. That's where the focus was in the story. That's what mattered. But I was so worried about making it historically accurate that I lost sight of the characters. And my vision for the characters was totally lost, and the voice I wanted to use to write the story was just gone. Because I was so determined to make it good, I forgot to have fun with it. I forgot to let the story get away from me. And I wish it were just that one story that it happened with, but it happened with every single story that I wrote. Like, every single folder, every document that I have from that point in time, I look back on and I get frustrated because I keep trying to find, like, what point I was at. And every time I look at them, I just get, like, muddled. Because I don't even know what the fuck I was trying to do. Because it wasn't fun. Yeah. So, having fun with your creativity is important. I want you to know, I started recording this because before I was recording this, I was talking about Inktober and how it is greatly impressive and frustrating to me that people will, like, do the thing where they won't even like come up with a concept for the prompt until the day of. So thinking drawing, you have your prompt for that day, and it is within that day that you come up with your concept from, and I mean like you go through your ABC concepts, pick which one that you like the most or merge whichever ones, and then you do your sketch, then you do your line art, and then you do your render, and then you have your piece, right? But the thing is, when it comes to things like Inktober's, when it comes to like this character week, or when it comes to this fan base week or month or whatever, people are always like in such a hurry, it seems, to do the thing, to do everything in that one day. And I mean this in the sense of you can have your prompts months before the event actually happens, and people will still hold out. Like, people will wait to even think about it until day of. And I don't mean this in like, oh, they forgot about it or they didn't have time. It's like, no, people will like genuinely wait. It's like, oh, Inktober's this. I won't look at the prompts until it is that day. It's like, unless you are doing that in the sense of like a genuine challenge for yourself, like, oh, I'm only gonna do as much like a sketch or something, then I feel like that is like more manageable. But oh god, it's the self-destruction that upsets me. It's the people who will like lose effectively an entire month of their life to like an Inktober or something, and they will drive themselves directly into the dirt for whatever reason. I can't figure this shit out. To prove, there's a multitude of reasons that people could do this. Obviously, like the obvious one is pride, to prove something to someone or something, to prove something to themselves, to fucking show like, hey, I'm cool, I can fucking do this, whatever the hell. But you have challenging yourself, and then you have throwing yourself onto the pavement. And I feel like there's a lot of creatives, and because we are so ambitious, a lot of us don't know the difference between the two. I am of the opinion that I could not even fucking shame someone if they were given Inktober prompts and they finished their Inktober prompts before Inktober started. And then they just posted them each day. Like, I don't think I could fault someone for that. Because the goal of Inktober is to get everyone drawing. And by following the Inktober prompts, they've done that. You got this person drawing. Maybe it wasn't at the same time as everyone else, but at that point, who the fuck cares? The goal was to get creatives creative. And if it did the thing, who cares if it was on the right day or not? It did the thing. It got this one person who was like sitting there for months deliberating, like, oh, I have this new like style of rendering that I want to practice, but I keep putting it off, but like maybe I'll like have something that'll spark it, and then they get a notification from fucking Tumblr, like, oh, someone posted their Inktober prompts that they're gonna do in like 3 months, and that could be the spark that gets that person thinking, oh, that would be a good opportunity to like practice my rendering, that new rendering style I want to do, and maybe it fucking works. Maybe it's they see that and they're like, fuck it, I'll use this to practice my rendering. And they do day by day, as long as it takes. They might take them fucking like 30 days of Inktober. It might take them 2 months to finish that. But it got them drawing. That is what was important. That is the value that I get out of like Inktober, out of art fights, out of fandom weeks and things like that, or character weeks. Fucking character birthdays even. Like, I've thought about it so much of just like making drawings for character birthdays and things like that. But so one thing I keep wanting to do is like Kagepro, August 15th. Every time August 15th rolls around, it's like, God, I gotta do something for it, but I never do. Because I feel like I need to put more time into whatever I want to create. And that comes back to around to me being like a hyper perfectionist and shit, and how it's the bane of my existence. But then that ties back around to remembering to have fun with it. It's like, yeah, fucking August 15th is coming up. I want to do something nice. So let me reconsume the media and just come up with something fun. It doesn't have to like mean anything. Welcome to art. It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't have to have this like greater metaphor. It doesn't need to like totally be like character accurate. Fuck it. Make something that's out of character. At that point, make an OC for the fucking fandom. Who the fuck cares? Free will. Let's unlearn shame together. That meme, right? Like, dude, it's. I care about this too much. I think I care about this too much, and I feel like every time I have this conversation with myself, I just it's the same things over and over again. Creativity is important. It means a lot to me. But what's more important than creativity is your health. Stretch your legs. Drink some water. Roll your neck. Roll your neck. It's very satisfying to roll your neck sometimes. Yeah, I think I'm out of gas. Anyway, bye.